Welcome to Wilderness and Earthkeeping. I cannot tell you how excited I am for this course for like 97 reasons, but besides loving the content of the course, I'm especially enthusiastic about the chance to get to know you as my students in a way that I don't typically get to do as a professor at Fuller. And that's because we're going to be stuck together in the wilderness in the middle of July, the San Juan National Forest, and spending a number of days at a base camp there, just out of Pagosa Springs, Colorado, but then 5 days out in the wilderness area of the San Juan National Forest, backpacking, camping together. So I think that we are going to get to know one another more deeply perhaps than typically happens in classes at Fuller, and I'm thrilled about that. So this course is focused on drawing upon the wilderness, God's presence in the wilderness, to learn how to be keepers of our places. The specific places on the earth where we live in particular. And as you'll see from the course description, this, as I understand God's revelation according to Scripture, is not only a matter of thinking sort of ecologically about our places, it's also a matter of thinking socially about our places. Our relationships with our human neighbors. And so as we learn from God's presence in the wilderness by the light of Scripture, we'll be learning at the same time how to be people who are working at the challenges of life in the cities where we live, both some of the ecological problems that characterize industrialized cities like the ones that most of us live in or near, and also the social problems that are characteristic of cities in the United States as well as in other parts of the world, especially the dividing line of race that separates neighbors from one another and even makes it difficult for them to live near to one another. So that, for me, is itself a question that is an integral part of learning how to be keepers of the places where we live, caretakers of our places. And we as Christians have good reason to think that God instructs the people of God on how to be neighborly, how to be keepers of their places by virtue of sharing time together in the wilderness. In our case, it won't be under quite the pressure that ancient Israel often was, whether it was fleeing from slavery in Egypt or in exile. But nevertheless, I think a time together in the wilderness, in addition to the reading and writing about God's presence in the wilderness, will have much to teach us, I hope, about how to be faithful as Christian disciples, members of different kinds of community, including the church, in the places where we live. So that's just a little snapshot of what the focus of this course is. You'll see just below this video a link to the course syllabus. I invite you to read that carefully and to present any questions that you have about it in the general questions forum that's also linked just below this video. I hope too that you will feel encouraged from me in these early days of the course to ask any questions that you have about the course, but especially about the wilderness experience that we'll be doing together in mid-July. I know for some of you this is going to be first time for something like this, and I'm sure that may arouse some anxiety, various concerns. Please don't feel any hesitation at reaching out to me by phone. My phone number is in the syllabus. By email, as I said, using the general questions forum to raise any question that you have at all. There's of course some features of that wilderness experience that are going to cause us unease no matter how prepared we are, and that's part of the point of going there together. But that should not be an unease that arises from a lack of communication between us, or at least some effort on my part to address questions that you have as you prepare for that. So please don't feel any hesitation, no matter how many times you call or email or whatever. I want you to feel as comfortable as possible preparing for those 8 or 9 days together in the San Juan National Forest. Welcome again to this course, and I look forward in the days ahead to not only communicating in the forums, but also to seeing you in person in Colorado. I should say before I go that I am trying to learn in a class like this how we can enrich our modes of communication and learning. And so I don't want to settle for only the typical kind of do some reading and respond in a forum kinds of interaction. Of course, there will be some of that, but I'm also going to be inviting you to post videos in which you read parts of Scripture that are especially meaningful to you. I will invite you to share poetry, for example, as well. I'll be sharing some of that myself with you, whether it's poetry you've written or poetry that you have read and found to be formative for you for whatever reason. There will be other ways, hopefully, in which different kinds of art might make their way into what you share and receive from other students in the class. So just to give you a heads up that there will be some of those maybe unusual modes for you of participating in the online portion of this course, because I want to give us the richest interface that we can come up with for not only getting to know one another, but sharing and receiving the gifts that we have to share with one another. So I'm looking forward to that, and I hope you are too. We will be in touch in the coming days, and you'll see in the first week of the course a module come up that will be visible, that will have the learning activities for that first week. But in the meantime, as I say, please do take a look at the syllabus that's linked just below. We'll be in touch, and welcome to Wilderness and Earthkeeping.